Good afternoon, good morning, good night, whatever time it is, wherever you're watching. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'm really excited to talk to you all about the questions I've picked out today. It has been an absolutely cracking week for questions. There have been some really good, really interesting ones that made me kind of stop and think like, that was a good question. What's the best answer? So I'm really excited to read those all out for you today. If you've got any of your own questions you want to submit, definitely feel free to send them in. I read and answer every single one. I love getting them. So I'll include the link for that in the video description here. Without further ado, let's go ahead and dive right in. So the questions this week have been a mix of personal ones, things about my writing style personally, as well as sort of best practice tips for Medium. So I'm going to mix and match them a little bit to keep it interesting. And the first one is, should you publish in publications? This was sent in by someone who noticed that I don't publish in a huge amount of publications. I don't publish that often, and she wanted to know why that was. And basically, it's because I'm impatient. So whenever you submit to a publication, you have to wait for them to publish your story. They don't even have to tell you when, so you might be waiting like a day, you might be waiting a week, you might be waiting longer, you just don't know, it's completely out of your hands. Meanwhile, if you self-publish, you can publish right away, start earning money for that today, this very second. Now, the benefits of publishing in a publication are obviously that you can access, in some cases, a really huge group of people that don't follow you and might find your content really interesting. And I find that the only times it is worth publishing in a publication is A, if you're new and you just kind of want to get your content out there in a wider sort of area, then it's definitely worth doing it. Some of the bigger ones like the Start at the Ascent are not too hard to get into, and it can just really widen the pool of potential followers right off the bat. Secondly, if what you're writing is like hand in glove, perfect fit for the publication you've got in mind, then it's much more likely that the readers of that publication are going to be interested. They've already shown that they're keen on that kind of content, and if they see an article like that right in that publication that they follow, they'll be all the more interested in it, and you'll have a much greater chance of engaging with them, just hitting the right notes with them and getting them to follow you potentially. So that's why I don't tend to publish in publications, but sometimes I do, and sometimes it's worth it. So it's really up to you. This question was sent in from somebody who wanted to know, how do you pick what to write about? It seems like everything's already been written. I empathize with this so strongly. When I first started writing, I was like, I have nothing original to say. Everything already has been said and way better than I could ever say it. And what actually convinced me to start writing and start feeling comfortable with feeling like I was worth putting my content out there was thinking that even though everything has already been written, every topic under the sun's been covered, nobody's published my take on it because I'm me, I'm unique. Nobody knows what my thoughts are, what my experiences are. So it's kind of like this relationship, right? So take writing tips, for example. Everybody's written about writing tips and how can you create better characters or how do you write. I wrote a story about using Dungeons and Dragons to create better characters in your novel. And this was a good article. It resonated with a lot of people because even though writing characters has been a topic that's been done to death, nobody had my take on it. Nobody had my experiences. So I was able to write about what I did, how it worked for me. And then the good thing is, after you come into yourself for that topic, you then go out, because writing characters is something that's really applicable to almost everyone who's writing. Everybody's going to be interested in that content, and everyone's going to be interested in your unique individual take. So yeah, everything has been written, but your story hasn't been written. It's up to you to put that out there, and just trust that what you have to say, people are going to really be interested in that. Somebody sent in a question asking if Medium was my full-time job, and if so, how I had managed to make that happen. The truth is, I have not managed to make that happen, and I'm still trying my hardest. Such a vanishingly small percentage of people who write on Medium are able to make it their full-time, and to be honest, I don't know if I'm ever going to be one of them. The people who occupy those very top niches, they put in so many hours that I don't know if I'd be able to do. The stories they write are just so beautiful and so moving and touching. When I went into Medium, I started it as a kind of it'll be nice to make a little bit of spare change on the side. It ended up being more than that, but I don't think it's ever going to be a full-time job. and I'm not necessarily upset about that. I like doing it on the side, kind of for fun. Obviously my dream would be to be a stay-at-home cat mom blogger, stay home with this baby, but I don't think that's in the cards for me now. And honestly, I think that's the best approach for everyone. Go into it thinking you might make a bit of spare change and be pleasantly surprised if it turns out to be more than that. This question sent in by somebody who wanted to know what was the one thing I wish I had known 6 months ago. This was really hard to narrow down. I've learned so much in those 6 months, and it's kind of cool to think about what I'll have learned in the next 6 months if somebody submits this question again. But I was able to narrow it down to one thing, and if I had to pick just one, it would be to republish. It took me way too long to start republishing. So I'm somebody who aims to publish twice per day. If I can write 2 pieces of new content per day, which I did for a long time, that's amazing. I really enjoyed that. It was a challenge. I grew as a writer sheerly from the volume of content that I was putting out per day meant that I had to get better. But also, along the line, I think I read somewhere like republish your content, and it struck me like a bell. Like, I can just republish old stories, stuff that was written 3-6 months ago, and I have new followers. I've gotten better as a writer. I'm better at picking out headlines. So that's my #1 piece of advice to everyone. Pick out an old story, something that didn't get the attention you thought it would, or something that got a lot of attention but you think that can do better. Copy paste the whole thing, put it into a new story, change the headline, pick a better image. I got a lot better at this specifically over the last 6 months. Pick something that's going to be eye-catching and catch people's attention and fire up their imagination. Then give your whole piece a really thorough read through. Read it aloud. I always think if you're republishing, you owe it to your readers to make sure that what you're putting out is a lot better than what you've put out before. And then just, delete the old story, just to make sure there's no duplicated content. Astrid, she's always interrupting my videos. Republish away, and it's a great way to show old content to new followers or to give old stories a chance to freshen up and see the light of day again. The last question I'm going to answer today was sent in by somebody who wanted to know, when do I write? And I took this to mean me personally, when I write. I write every free minute I get. I write in the morning when I'm having my first cup of coffee. I write when I go to the bathroom. I'm not kidding, I do. I write on my lunch break at work. I write when I come home from work. I write while I watch TV in the evenings. I write before I go to bed. I love writing, and I do it every free second I have. To make this a little easier, I have the Medium app on my phone. I've got it on my iPad. Obviously, I can access it on my desktop. And every time I'm bored, every time I'm waiting in line or at the doctor's appointment, I can just flick open my phone and start typing away the latest draft that I have. I don't know if this is something that's feasible for everyone. It's something that's worked really well for me and has helped push me along my path to success, just because every time I have a good idea, I can just immediately jot it down. I've got a lot of free time to continue pushing those new stories out. That's when I write. I don't really have a set time. It's just whenever I'm free. But I don't know if that's the #1 way or the only way that you can be successful on Medium. I think as long as you do it often and do it when you're interested, that's what's going to make your story shine. Thank you all so much for watching. I never thought I'd be the kind of person to make video content, but I'm really enjoying it so far, and I hope that these tips are able to help people. I'm starting to think of putting together a more cohesive video series on sort of the basics of Medium, and I'll keep doing these FAQs because I love doing them. But if you'd be interested in that kind of content, let me know in the comments below, and I'll start working on that. It's really exciting for me. Have a great week, everyone. I can't wait to speak to you all next week. Bye.